Hey everyone, today I'll be teaching you guys these 5 important tips so that you can master Scythe to her fullest potential. Let's get into it. Alright, let's start off with Scythe's, Scythe mode. Yeah, I won't even deny it, she has arguably the best M1s in the entire game. Anyways, a very simple yet crucial tip would be to always be within critical range. So obviously, landing the criticals will do more damage than normal M1s. However, they also give you a bit of ammo each time you land a critical, so make sure you land as many as you can. Now, for Scythe's Q ability, it's a fantastic way of getting away from flankers who are constantly chasing you, such as biographs or swords. It can also be great for dealing poke damage, and trust me, this thing can shred if you land your shots. Now her E ability is honestly so brain dead. The short burst of mobility makes Scythe very deadly, and it's just a great move to use both offensively and defensively. Now, I usually like to use her E ability very aggressively whenever I'm flanking, as this ability is very good at gap closing. As you can see here, it's the main way I do damage as Scythe. Now, in terms of its defensive capability, I usually use it as a great escape tool in case I'm low, but otherwise, I like to use it very aggressively. Now, one important tip I'll give about her is make sure that you have at least either your Q or E ability off of cooldown. This will allow you to have at least one method of escaping, whether you're getting pressured, whether you need to run, or you're just low. And lastly, I'll briefly cover on how you should use Scythe's ultimate. So this is definitely one of the most versatile ults in the entire game, as it can be used for repositioning, finishing off people who are low, or just straight up regaining some shield. Now, for me personally, I like to use this move whenever I'm either low, or I find someone who is low that can be far away or hard to get to. But again, this is a very versatile move, so try to use it differently depending on what's happening around you. Alright, now let's talk about the hardest part of her kit, her rifle mode. So her M1s can be a bit confusing to use at first, but I would just suggest using her M1s at a close to medium range distance, as this will give you the most value. Also, another thing to note, try not to hold her M1 too much, as this will give you insane amounts of recoil the more you shoot. So for better accuracy, I would recommend to simply shoot in bursts like this. Anyways, moving on to her Q ability. I'd have to say this move is very underused by many Scythe players, so here's how to use it properly. So first off, this is a very solid move to use at the start of a match, since everyone will be very far away from you. Think of it as a move similar to Hyper Laser's M1s. Now, if you use this move and it hits someone, you gain about 20 ammo, assuming you charged it to max. In case you don't know what the max charge is, it's 50. However, if you miss the move, you lose all your ammo that you used to cast it. Now, not only is this a great ranged move, it also is very useful since it stuns people for around 1 to 2 seconds. And if you struggle to hit this ability consistently, I'd suggest mostly using it on tanks, people who are stunned, or people who are ulting. Now, while all of that is great advice, let me tell y'all a little secret method about this ability that not many people know about. So, the main reason I'm able to hit this move at a high rate is simply because I charge it behind cover where nobody sees me, and then I simply walk out of cover when it's nearly charged and get free value just like that. Now, the reason this works so well is because nobody expects a Scythe to just charge their Q behind cover like that. Plus, it is also very hard to dodge as the other person only has around 1 to 2 seconds to react to it. And to add on to that, most people don't expect a Scythe user to straight up play like a Hyper Laser. So if you really wanted to, you can straight up land this move 2 to 3 times on the same person. So yeah, it's a very deadly technique in the right hands. Next up, we got Scythe's E. Yeah, this thing can do crazy amounts of damage at close range. Now, just like how I said the Q ability is great against people who are stunned or ulting, that same concept applies here. Except, you have to be really close to your opponent. Now, if you struggle to get close to your opponent when using this move, I'd suggest doing a few Scythe dashes into your E. So overall, this could be a very deadly and high damaging move if you get close to people. I mean, it's a shotgun. Of course it's gonna do damage at close range. So lastly, let's talk about the ways in which you can use her ultimate. So this can be considered one of the hardest ultimates in the game to land, simply because you have to be very precise and skilled when landing it. Now what I like to do is go into the air with a few dashes and then quickly switch to my rifle mode and pop ultimate. You can also do this with Scythe's Q, but I'd recommend just using her dashes. Now if you're trying to land this ult a lot more consistently, something I've learned is that using this ultimate on your teammates can actually result in you getting an insane amount of value from your ultimate. Yeah, sounds crazy, I know. Pretty much, what I'm trying to say is, let's say for example, there's a very aggressive group of people after your teammates. What you then can do is pop your ultimate on your teammates and it should usually hit a bunch of people like this. Now another fantastic way of using this ultimate is just like I said previously on how you should go into the air and then pop the ultimate. Going behind the enemy team can definitely get you a lot of kills just based off of unaware people. Again, this will take a lot of time to master, so if you don't do well at first, just keep at it. Cause trust me, you should have seen me when I first started using Scythe. Trust me, it was abysmal. Anyways, for this final part, I just want to make sure y'all really understand when to use her rifle mode so that you don't get absolutely shredded. So for me, the best time to pop this ultimate is when I'm not being targeted, as this will allow me to get the most value out of the mode. Of course, as I've said many times already, this move is fantastic against people ulting or people who are stunned. So overall, it can be a very risky, but also very high rewarding ultimate if used correctly. So Scythe has a very interesting passive where you will be given a target at the start of the round. If you do hit your target, you will deal extra damage on the first hit and gain 50 ammo. I also want y'all to keep in mind that you don't necessarily have to go for your target as Scythe. For example, if your target is skateboard, just simply wait for a bit and your target will switch. Also, something to keep in mind, at the start of rounds, try to go into your gun mode and either do some M1s or pop a Q on a target so that you can get more ammo for future fights. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, in terms of techs, I don't really use that many when it comes to Scythe, simply because I just don't really need them most of the time. Besides the first tech, trust me, if there's any Scythe tech you need to use, it's the first one I'm gonna show you. Anyways, here's the ones that I use the most. Now of course, we cannot forget about target priorities. So to save y'all some time, I made a tier list of who Scythe is currently good or bad against. Again, not really gonna go into the details here just so that I can save everyone some time. Now, the tier list aside, the order of how I would go for people would be something like this. Low people, the backline, and tanks. Also, another thing to note, try to flank with your flankers assuming you have some on your team, as you'll be able to shred the enemy backline much faster. Honestly though, in general, you should try to see who your team is currently going for and do your best to help them out. Alright, that's gonna do it for today's video. Again, I want to clarify that I have only just started to recently use Scythe, or main Scythe if that's what you want to call it, for around a few months now. So if you have any advice or tips, feel free to comment down below. Also, just want to say this, if you want to join my Discord, it will be in the description. Not forcing anybody, but if you do join, thank you. Genuinely, thank you. It means a lot to me. Anyway, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. See ya!